So, hi everyone, welcome to this week's Thoughts on Thursday. The topic today is initially called Why We're Mentees, and we've expanded that brief to really try and understand actually what's going on in the industry right now and how can young people be supported through the community and connections they need, skills, competencies, job searching. What kind of support should be out there for people to access in those kind of crucial job searching days and then years 0 to 5 in the industry. So we're really excited to have two of the kind of founding mentees of the community, Salva and Anuja, join us today to share a few thoughts. And then we just wanted to have a pretty open, honest discussion about what do we feel like young people in and entering hospitality will need in the next few years. And then obviously, frankly, kind of where we think somewhere like the GrowthWorks can best serve to support with the power of the mentors we're kind of putting together who are generously giving their time and expertise to give back to an industry that they love.
Yeah, so my name is Saba, and I think I've been with GrowthWorks now for 4 or 5 months, something like that. It's been a long time, I've kind of lost count. But I initially joined the GrowthWorks mentorship program through my university, La Roche, which is where I'm studying right now. And like James mentioned, I'm doing my final year. And I joined the network to kind of gain momentum because I was feeling like I was in a slump because I'll be very honest, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm really interested in and which direction I'm going in. And I've actually spoken about this before on some of my mentoring sessions with one of my mentors, Sandro, and he kind of knows that I am interested in several different things like revenue management and also some parts of tech and things like that. But joining the GrowthWorks kind of helped me discover a few other things that I wasn't even really aware existed in hospitality to begin with, and that's kind of the reason that I'm here and that I'm continuing.
I'm Anuja. I have been with the GrowthWorks, like James mentioned, since the day it kicked off. I think I saw a LinkedIn live about it. And I've been in hospitality since 2018, and it would be safe to say that I obviously totally love my job. I'm based out of India, and I'm the duty manager at the Sofitel in Mumbai. And
what resources are you finding most useful at the moment? What is it on LinkedIn that you do in terms of groups or messaging? Or what industry newsletters impress you the most and feel like will be able to help you navigate the next 12 months or so? Oh, Angelo, go for it.
Yeah, I say what I'm using. Obviously, I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm with the cruise industry. So we are going through a particular terrible moment right now. And what we are actually following right now is the website from CLIA, which is basically a sort of corporation of all the cruise line. All the cruise line are partner of CLIA, at least all the major cruise line, and all the major information are shared with the website. So if I'm really interested to follow up or to go deeper in some discussion, that's what I'm gonna look at it. And obviously LinkedIn as well is a good sort of information. There is not much about cruise line, but there is definitely a lot about hotel and resort brand. So there is a lot of information that actually been posted like that.
Pablo, do you want to share the others that you've named to give us a bit of an overview of what you use them for?
Yeah, these are the ones I usually read daily. So it's Skiffed. With now it's paid for, so you can only really read the highlights or 3 articles a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Is it Gift? Is it Pablo?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bastards! I went and made a subscription.
Yeah, and then hospitalitynet.org also I tend to read daily, I guess. At least the highlights. And then the rest is coming mainly from LinkedIn, YouTube videos, webinars, podcasts. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. No, really good. And how do you use them? I mean, do you just skim them every day and just see kind of what's going on, what people are talking about, what the trends are?
Yeah, I mean, I'm subscribed to them, so you get them daily. Get a quick overlook. If anything is interesting, just click in there on the highlight. The challenge with social networks like LinkedIn, anyway, is that you end up having more information on the people you tend to like.
Yeah.
So your feed ends up being just the same 10 people every day.
So I don't normally mute. There's a police helicopter outside. So a question for you, nothing to do with me. So building a personal brand and building a network came up quite strongly. How do some of those you that do this, how do you use the stuff you read potentially to do a bit more networking or getting out there on LinkedIn? Is there something in the way that you share it or comment on it? I guess it'd be really interesting to see, does that kind of stuff pay off in terms of, you know, I suppose kind of getting a bit more known, or is it just about writing your own stuff? Keen to hear those of you who are, you know, building your networks on LinkedIn, thinking about your personal branding. What's worked, you know, would be kind of my next topic. Pablo, I've got to start with you, Pablo, because you have a podcast. No one else has a podcast here. So.
All right, fair enough. It works, yeah. And you get a reach of audience. I mean, I do it in both in Spanish and English, so depending on the post, I have a different audience. Obviously, I try to keep it even, more or less, one episode in English, one in Spanish, assuming that whoever speaks Spanish is going to understand it in English, so they can watch and understand all of them, not the other way around. And then in terms of reaching people and get yourself known, what it's worked for me this year, it's starting to write articles for, in this case, the biggest hospitality Spanish magazine. Mm-hmm. So I started to write pieces for them, obviously for free, on their opinion part of the online newsletter, regularly. And then I got noticed by the main editor of the magazine, and then she thanked me for contributing regularly, and then she interviewed me for the printed edition of the September-October magazine, and that got a lot of traction. So
great. So one of the things we've been touching on is obviously kind of what next, and we've definitely touched on Thoughts on Thursday that this industry is potentially changed forever, right? We know it's cyclical, and we know there are ups and downs, and we know it will come back. I think we all have that optimism, and that's really why we're here and where the GrowthWorks community came from. But I think we're saying, look, there's going to be a different approach to, you know, driving more total revenues, working better across teams, multi-training, being more efficient, a bit more tech savvy. There's a few trends that are probably going to burst through and be here to sustain. So just fairly open question for the group, really. What support do you think you need, right? Looking at that, what's next? And Sabi, you made a great point. Potentially some hospitality education is grounded and a little bit more traditional, but actually maybe even that's not fair. There are modules on some of the more tech stuff. But as you look to the future, and I guess, Laura, I'd love to get your perspective on this as well. What do you feel like you need to know or be exposed to kind of be more successful and have a first, you know, really great first start to the first few years of your career?
I'm in a very similar position to Saba, I would say. I'm also trying to find a way out of operations. I feel that it was maybe not, maybe just because I'm curious about what else is out there, and operational jobs. And somehow I'm missing a longer term project or group work or the kind of stuff that goes in behind the scenes. And that's probably because I have a bachelor in business and a master's in hospitality. So then that's why I want to connect those two and get back to the kind of behind the scenes. And what I would need for that, I guess, is understanding of what those paths are beyond revenue or finance, I guess. But I mean, I do see that it's really just about finding a niche, finding some different jobs here and there, and then eventually you'll land a kind of niche job that fits you.
And I think it's just really interesting, and I think about it a lot for the GrowthWorks as a community. How can we try and put people in the right conversations so that they can be useful to each other? And honestly, having come from a kind of a tech funded startup as well, it's not really daunting. It's not, you know, there is a bit of language around what the product does, but the problems they're solving are all problems you have faced as hoteliers, so you'll get it straight away. So it's an interesting one. So I don't know how we connect the dots so you understand what jobs are available, what transferable skills you've got, and frankly, where you've got gaps. So actually, you know what, maybe I do need a bit more understanding of how all the different bits of tech may fit together, or how someone may adopt it in a hotel chain. I guess I look to the others for answers perhaps, but I think that's a really interesting piece, is how can we help you on that journey? And then the final point I'll make is it may only be temporary. If your dream is to work in hotels, maybe it is just go and get that experience for a couple of years and accept the fact that you may not be in a hotel company right now and it's so tough. but I think the door will always be open. And frankly, in 2 years' time, if you come back to a hotel company and you know how technology works, you're probably going to be right on trend for the kind of skills they're going to need for the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
In my opinion, one of the thoughts that I was having while Patrick and Anuja and Laura mentioned all of these points was also that I think one issue is that hospitality is not as direct as other industries. For example, in medicine, you know that you can become a doctor, like there's that name to the role, and you know you can become, I don't know, a psychologist or a therapist or a vet, but you don't have exact roles in hospitality. It's just your skills that kind of take you to a certain place. It's not really you don't know that, okay, this is where I'm going and this is where I want to go. You kind of have an idea of, okay, this is what I'm interested in, and this is the general area that I'd like to go towards. But that's kind of where that's where I'm having trouble, right? That's why I mentioned it, because like I mentioned yesterday in the conversation that I had, she told me, she was saying that, figure out what areas you're interested in, then figure out what brand you'd like to kind of work for in that area, and then figure out what location you'd like to work in to get the kind of like the triangle of the experience that you're looking for, because it's not easy to pinpoint a particular job name as such. It's more about what you're interested in. And I think that we as like beginners and graduates, undergraduates would I think it would be useful for us to be educated on that, on what's available out there as well, rather than just our actual literal education, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So last couple of minutes, I guess I'm going to kind of throw it back to kind of where I think the GrowthWorks heads at. What role does mentoring play in all of this, do you think?
I think, like I said, at the early stages of your career, if you're really serious about it, you can feel extremely lost. Because when I joined 2 years back, I was recruited as a management trainee. So I had this set number of tasks that I had to do, and I had to prove myself and prove my worth and prove that I'm worth it, getting a manager post and all of that. So it is always good to have a mentor who is someone who helps you see a different outlook on different issues, problems, or even any circumstances. And I think it is very important to have one at any point in your life, not only in your career. As human beings, we obviously would appreciate help at any point of time, but having clarity because of experience is very important. And I think in the core departments in this industry, experience is what counts. Even when you think about it work-wise, even if you don't have that degree, or if you're not educated enough, but you have a great experience in certain brands or in hospitality or working in hotels, then you would be recruited much more quickly. And mentors, I think, as we go ahead in life, mentors will share their experiences, and since they are not immersed firsthand in any situation that you are in, they can provide invaluable help in those difficult situations.
Thank you. Saba?
Honestly, for me, I think the role a mentor plays is basically kind of like career support, getting to learn from their experience and seeing how they've got where they've reached is really important to me, because that kind of helps me outlay like a path. It's obviously there's no like I said, it's not like a how do I say, sequential road, but mapping out a professional's career is really interesting in kind of figuring out what direction I personally can go in. And I think like Laura mentioned, for example, about sustainability, there's no set rules and there's no set kind of answers, but like what mentors can do is say that, okay, look, this is what I'm doing now, this is where I used to be, this is what I did, and I learned from so and so things, and I'd like to help you figure out as well.
That's great. We are out of time. Thank you everyone for your contributions. For me, that's incredibly insightful. I think the world's moved on from when we started the GrowthWorks network 6 months ago. It was very much like revenue management, sales. How do you do this in a crisis, right? And I think we all recognize now it's okay. This is a real change we weren't expecting. The expertise of you mentors who've been through it before is still critical, but we're actually calling on you for different areas of your expertise. I don't need a revenue management leader right now. I do need to understand that, but actually help me carve the path ahead, help me look at options. I think it's the jobs of the mentors getting harder, but we always appreciate how tough it is in those early careers to be walking to this industry. But Please stick with the community as we continue to try and kind of be useful. Share it with friends if you think anyone else will need a chat. In the meantime, good luck. Have good weeks. Can't wait to discuss next week's topic with you, and obviously see you on the platform. Thanks for your time. Big thanks to our presenters, Sabra and Anuja. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Have a lovely
Bye,
weekend.
James.
Cheers. Bye.
Talking to you guys. See you. Have a nice week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.